And now we're live on all of our formats, so we appreciate y'all being here. Thank you so much. Howdy to you guys. And yeah, we're having a good time. And welcome. It's Friday. And that means it is Paranormal Friday. So, anytime, any day there's a Friday, it's a good Friday for me. I don't know about you guys, but I'm happy to be here. Truly happy to be here. Hopefully you are as well. Okay, I'm Bishop James Long. So here's a couple of things for you. First of all, before we get into the meat and potatoes of the presentation, I want you to go to the website, kgradb.com, kgradb.com. I don't know why this is so, there we go, kgradb.com. And I want you to go to that site and subscribe. But put Bishop as your promo code, because if you put Bishop as your promo code, you're going to get 30% off your subscription. And hey, that always save you any type of money. Anytime to save you some money, I'm all about that. Hopefully you guys are as well. And I got to go on Facebook and open it up on mine. I just realized that it's not on. I wish I could change that. I fight every time I do a presentation. I got to deal with this because Facebook does not allow me to open it up to everybody. So there. I don't know why. I don't know. It's Facebook issue. It's not my settings because I've changed the settings a million times. But okay, there we go. If you want to go to my website, it's real simple. It's bishopjameslong.com. There it is. Pretty easy. bishopjameslong.com. If you want to go to the church's website, because if you have questions about the church, well, all you got to do is go to usocc.org. There. And so we have you covered. We have you covered everywhere on the formats. So that is ultimately where we are all about. You know what? I forgot to do this. Hold on, everybody. We were in such a rush that I completely forgot to make sure I charge up. I plug up my the iPads, because if I don't, the batteries are going to be dead. So for those of you on YouNow, hold on, YouNow. I know YouNow. My thumb is in the way. People are like, oh, can't see it. Okay. There we go. Now I think we're good to go. Now we're cooking. We're cooking with bacon, or cooking with butter, or whatever the saying is. It's Friday. Okay. You know, I love the paranormal. I've always loved the paranormal. I don't apologize to anybody because of it. I've always enjoyed it. And so I like talking about paranormal issues. And there we go. Okay. So first of all, the doll that's right here. For those of you who are on TikTok, you know this doll right there. That doll, for those of you who may not know, is I am a cast member on the Eli Roth show, Legion of Exorcist show. It airs on the Travel Channel. We only did 6 episodes. I tell you what, today has just been one of those days. Hold on, everybody. Let me fix this. It's been crazy. I know I'm making a lot of noise. I got to do it. So there we go. There. Now we're fixed. Okay. So I'm on the Eli Roth Presents Legion of Exorcist show, and it is on the Travel Channel. This doll right here is actually on one of the episodes. It is on, well, you guys on YouTube, like, oh, you know, it's like, but that is the doll that was, I believe they did it on the first episode. And that is the doll where it actually, I tell you what, I've seen a lot of crazy things in my life, but that right there, that takes the cake. For those of you who don't know the story, I'll tell it very quickly, and then I'll get into the presentation for what we're going to talk about tonight. A family had contacted me because they had a lot of paranormal activity, violent activity in their home. And it was violent. And they had purchased this doll from an antique dealer. She loved to collect odd things. I mean, this woman loved to do this. And she bought it. And within a week or so, she started having violent activity in her home. And it got to a point. Now, this was they call it a McMansion. So it's a beautiful home. And ultimately, the whole entire house burnt down to a crisp. I mean, there was nothing left in that home. Nothing. Everything was burnt to a crisp. And they contacted me, and they said, we want you to get involved. And I thought, well, why? Well, I'm not a fireman. I don't. But when I got to this place, they showed me where the house was. where it basically stood. And she showed me, she walked me into the foyer, and then she said, turn to the right. And you see to the right here, and there was this metal shelf, like a bookshelf. It was kind of an ornate bookshelf. And sitting there on the top, I think it was on the top of the shelf, it was this doll right there. And what was crazy about this, the entire house was burnt down. Nothing was left in that house. This thing was sitting right there on the shelf. Now you can't really see it, but there's you guys can see it on TikTok. There's burnt marks right here. The doll itself is porcelain, and the firefighters could not explain. The chief could not explain why a porcelain doll did not catch flame, because the wall behind it was burnt down. There was nothing there. And so even today, you can still smell the burning. You can still smell the burnt on it. And if you turn around, you can actually smell you can see where it damaged the clothing. So I then took this away from the family, and I said, okay, I'm going to remove it, because people collect these things and then they bring them to their home, and then violent activity occurs. Well, I brought it to my location in my facility that I have, a storage facility. Well, I went to a paranormal conference. It was in Louisville, Kentucky. And I was doing a presentation at the Mid-South Paranormal Conference in Louisville. And there was a room full of people there, and I was telling people about this case. And I had it in this protective case. And people kept asking me, take it out. We want to experience it. We want to see if we feel anything. And I told them, I said, that's not a good idea. Oh, please take it out. Take it out. It's not a good idea. So they kept on. I said, fine. Okay, fine. I'll take it out. So I took it out of its case. I presented it to them. Nobody wanted to even be around it. Everybody was like, get that thing away from me. We want nothing to do with it. I mean, they were adamant. They wanted nothing to do with it. So as I was putting it back in its case, someone had asked, and again, I've told this story before, but there's a lot of people who don't know. So as I turned it around to put it back in its case, someone asked me a question, and I got distracted. And I put it right next to my laptop, the laptop that I used for the PowerPoint presentation. And as I turned around to address the question, a firefighter, the volunteer firefighter's in the front row, and he was screaming, Bishop Long, turn around, your laptop's on fire. I thought, what? I turned around, my laptop was on fire. Now, a whole room of people saw this. I have heard a lot of things about haunted objects through the years, and I'm absolutely convinced that there's something there. Now, after experiencing that, I know for a fact there's something there, because I could not explain that away. I even to this day, I can't explain that away. I saw it. And so, I mean, I can't deny what I saw. And a whole room, like I said, a whole room of people saw this. So it's crazy. It is crazy. And you can go to usocc.org. That's all there for you. So I'm telling you, this has been one of the most, when that happened, and I was telling people, and I think that's when I was telling people about how it burnt the entire home down. I think that they really thought, okay, yeah, right. Yeah. Because we hear it all the time about haunted items, right? We hear it all the time. And I have a storage facility full of haunted items. I'm going to show a couple of them tonight at the top of the hour. But I've never experienced that before. Never. And when my laptop caught fire, and I just as soon as I set it down, that was I'm the laptop caught fire, folks. Now people are saying, well, it might have overheated. I just had started the presentation. This was a new laptop. And not only that, but I had one of those fans underneath it. So, you plug it into the port, and it cools it down. I didn't need to do it, but I already had it anyway. So it cools everything, cools the fan down. So it didn't overheat. People say, well, it overheat. No, it did not. And I had used that laptop before. So I don't know, folks. You tell me. I saw it. I witnessed it, and a room full of people witnessed it as well. And there is the doll right there. It's on the show. And no, I'm not going to give it to anyone. No. No. See, what I do is I take items from people's homes, and then I take them to paranormal conferences. Oh, you're welcome, Danny. And then what I do is I teach about them and the dangers of collecting these things. Now, later on, for those of you who've never seen this before on TikTok or Facebook or YouTube or now, in just a second, I'm going to show you some items from John Wayne Gacy that are actually legitimate paintings from John Wayne Gacy. Why people collect these things, I don't know. It's beyond my comprehension, but they do anyway. Okay, tonight we're going to talk about a topic that it's pretty interesting. And a lot of people say, well, there's no way, it can't happen. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. Why even discuss it? It's not going to happen. Tonight, I'm going to talk about the zombie apocalypse. But hold on. Before you say no, hold on. Oh, I bless it. It's in the case. It's in the case here. So I never ever, I won't take it out of the case. So let's talk about the zombie apocalypse and the reality of it. You know, the concept of a zombie apocalypse has captured, I think, the imagination of people worldwide, as evidenced by the popularity of the zombie-themed movies, TV shows, literature. And for those of you who are new, if you've never been here before, what I do is I give a presentation for the first hour on a topic of my choosing, and I teach about that topic. And then at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, then I answer your questions about the paranormal. I've been doing this for 3 years now, so that's what I do. So that's how we run this show, okay? So at 8 p.m. Eastern, I'll answer your questions. Right now, I'm going to do a presentation here. And keep in mind, and I have to say this every time, I run the show on 3 computers. So if you're asking a question here, I have 3 computers that I'm running the show on. So I may not see your question. So just hang tight on the questions, and we'll get to at 8 p.m. Eastern. Now, while largely considered a work of fiction and entertainment, I'm going to give a reflection today that delves into the question of whether a zombie apocalypse is actually plausible within the realm of scientific possibility. Okay. Now, a zombie apocalypse is generally defined as a widespread outbreak of reanimated corpses or infected individuals that threaten human survival. Now, this notion has gained traction through folklore, ancient myths, and modern pop culture, depicting scenarios where humanity faces a horde of mindless, flesh-eating, undead beings. Well, however, beyond the fictional portrayal, examining the feasibility of a zombie apocalypse, it involves exploring potential origins, transmission mechanisms, society responses. I mean, how is society going to respond to it? So this will show the approach, the topic tonight, by drawing upon scientific knowledge, infectious disease research, societal analysis, and by examining various factors, such as the origins and the nature of zombies, possible modes of transmission, and the human response to such a threat. A more informed assessment can be made regarding the plausibility of a zombie apocalypse. Now, let me make this very clear to everybody first. I do not believe that we will ever have a reanimation of the dead. I don't believe that's going to happen. I think we have to rethink our idea or our notion of what zombies are. So that's important first. So I'm going to outright reanimation of the dead, meaning when they're dead, like the Walking Dead. You know, when they're dead, they come back to life. Or most of the zombie movies, they die and then they come back to life as a zombie. I disagree with that. I think that's scientifically impossible. But there's a difference between dying and then coming back to life, the reanimation of the body, which I don't think will that ever happen, versus an infection. Now, that's a different story. The primary objective is to examine the scientific aspects and to really dive into this. I'm going to hopefully explore the origins of the nature of zombies, the theories of transmissions, factors influencing rapid spread, human responses to zombie threats, the scientific advancements and technological countermeasures, if there are any. The concept of zombies has actually ancient roots in various cultures, folklore, religious beliefs. These early depictions of zombies often attributed their existence to spiritual or supernatural forces, emphasizing themes of possession or reanimation of the dead. However, the modern zombie, as portrayed in popular culture, has evolved and taken on its own distinct characteristics. See, in fictional portrayals, zombies typically are typically depicted as reanimated corpses or infected individuals that exhibit sluggish movement, lack of intelligence, an insatiable craving for human flesh. Now, they're often portrayed as mindless beings, driven solely on the base instincts. So, I think it's important to differentiate between pop culture and historical zombies. Yep, I said historical zombies. While present-day zombies may be the result of viral outbreaks or other scientific explanations, historical zombies were often associated with spiritual or cultural beliefs, such as voodoo and even witchcraft. Now, from a scientific standpoint, the existence of reanimated corpses, as commonly depicted in popular culture, is highly unlikely. The decomposition process and irreversible biological changes that occur after death make the idea of animated functioning corpses improbable within the laws of nature. I mean, just logically speaking. Yet, some theories have attempted to provide scientific explanations for a zombie-like phenomenon. For those of you who often give to the ministry, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Again, I have people from all walks of life. So if you don't know me, don't judge. I have friends that are in witchcraft. I have friends that are pagans, that are atheists. So again, if you never judge, if you're new to my channel, let's kind of back away from the judgment, because I made it very clear that I welcome everybody here. However, don't tell me that witchcraft is all beautiful and good, because it's not. Because I know people who practice witchcraft who absolutely place curses on people and want evil the terrible evil to inflict evil upon other people. So let's be honest here. So I'm going to have to, we have to be fair, because I know people who practice black magic, and believe me, there's nothing positive that they want from another person. They want terrible things. So let's be careful about the judgment. Now, but because we're talking about history, there are cases of witchcraft in which people have placed curses, etc., on individuals, and we'll talk about them. Now, it is important to note that there are no known right now infectious diseases in real life that can replicate the characteristics observed in fictional zombies. Fictional. But viruses and parasites that affect the brain, such as rabies or other diseases, can lead to altered behavior. But they do not result in reanimation or the loss of irrational thinking in like fictional zombies. So while the concept of zombies is deeply rooted in human imagination and cultural beliefs, the popular understanding of zombies as mindless, flesh-eating creatures, that's fiction. Scientifically speaking, the reanimation of corpses or the existence of human beings with zombie-like characteristics is highly unlikely. Now, let's talk about theories of transmission that could create a zombie-like state. Now, that's scary, because some of these, I believe, have absolute legitimacy then. For example, when considering the plausibility of a zombie apocalypse, so like a scenario, one of the key aspects is to explore the potential mechanism of transmission. In most zombie narratives, transmission occurs through the direct contact between infected individuals and healthy individuals, leading to a rapid spread of a zombifying condition. For example, the zombies bite you in the movies. Now, while the exact mechanisms may vary, several theories have been proposed to explain how such transmission could occur. So let's talk about this. Viral infections and mutation. One theory that many scientists say could absolutely occur posits that a viral infection could cause a zombie-like state by attacking and altering the human brain. And that virus might have the ability to reanimate dead tissue and generate aggressive tendencies. Transmissions could occur through bodily fluids like bites and scratches from infected individuals, and the virus would then spread within communities, lead to an ever-growing population of zombies. So that actually is a possibility. That's a problem. That is a problem. Well, thank you very much. Now, let's talk about the parasitic manipulation of host. I know that's a $25 word there, so let me break this down. Another theory by even scientists say that parasites, such as fungi or bacteria, could be responsible for a zombification process. Certain parasites have known abilities to manipulate the behavior of their host, altering their cognition and inducing abnormal or even aggressive behavior. If a parasite were to infect humans and exert control over their actions, it could potentially lead to a zombie-like state. And in a moment, I'm actually going to talk about some cases where, yeah, we could see zombification, if you will, even in nature and in some human cases. Another belief by some scientists say, well, a zombification process could occur through a neurological disorder or psychological factors. And some theories propose that neurological disorders or psychological factors could contribute to a zombie-like behavior. If someone is in a deep psychosis state of mind and they truly identify as a zombie and they're in a psychotic state, they could behave as what they perceive as a zombie would act like. Now, conditions that affect the brain, such as specific encephalitis or neurodegenerative diseases, may result in altered cognition, the loss of rational thinking, and aggressive behavior. Now, in a hypothetical scenario, the prevalence of such disorders could rise rapidly, leading to a zombie-like epidemic. Now, again, these are theories, and we have to understand that. But there are scientists that are pretty convinced that this could happen. Now, let's talk about the rapid spread. What happens if one of those things, like let's say a bacteria or a virus, is released? Regrettably, we know for a fact that governments around the world, including the United States, are messing around with viruses that they shouldn't be messing around with. And there's a lot of people who are actually quite concerned because they're finding viruses that have died, that have been dormant, maybe in Antarctica or something. They're finding these viruses that have been dead for a long time, and now they're able to revive them. All it would take is one mistake. That's it. There are viruses right now that are in labs that I've done some research on for the show right now that has a 90% death rate, meaning that society would be wiped out, 90% of the population. That's scary. And these are actually viruses that are in labs right now, and you can do your own research. What are we doing? Why are we doing this? Why are we playing this is what I don't like. I don't understand why we're playing these God in this situation. And that is 100% true. So we have yeah, you can research, you can do your own research. There's a lot here, and I'm not going to go over every one of them. In the hypothetical scenario, for example, of a zombie apocalypse, several factors could contribute to the rapid and widespread transmission of the zombifying condition. So understanding these factors can provide insight into the plausibility of severity, of the outbreak. So here are some key factors that may influence the rapid spread of a zombie-like epidemic. So let's say, for example, that's one of these viruses that scientists are messing around with in labs, which they are doing in every country. Let's say that somehow it gets out. Okay. So then what happens? Well, population density in urban centers, like a high population density, particularly in urban centers or urban areas, can facilitate the rapid transmission of any infectious disease, including a hypothetical zombie virus. The close proximity of individuals in crowded cities allows for easier and faster contact between infected and unaffected individuals, obviously leading to a quicker spread of this the condition. Also, the mode of transmission can significantly impact the speed of a zombie-like epidemic. Airborne transmission, if applicable, would allow the zombifying pathogen to spread more quickly through coughing, sneezing, or simply even breathing. Now, vector-borne transmission utilizing insects or other carriers could also contribute to a rapid spread. So, for example, if you have a mosquito that has this infection and they bite you, then there are some scientists that say it could spread that fast just like that. Now, the characteristics of the environment can influence the transmission, the dynamics of a zombie-like epidemic. For instance, in rural areas with significant distances between dwellings, the spread might be slower compared to like a densely populated urban areas, which makes sense. However, if the zombifying condition has the ability to survive for extended periods outside the host, or to infect various animal species, transmission in rural areas could still occur. Yeah, the Zika virus. That's right. If you don't, guys, if you don't know what the Zika virus is, you need to check that. I'm not trying to frighten anybody, or I'm just not, but I am trying to educate you. I mean, the Zika virus is legitimate. I mean, that's in mosquitoes. So you can have fever, rash, headache, joint pain, red eyes, muscle pain. Of course, now that's not, the viruses or the zombie viruses, but that we are playing with some serious stuff. There are viral diseases right now, and if some people say, well, there's no such thing, that they won't ever escape the labs, so that won't ever happen. That is not true. That is not true. Did you know, actually, in 1903, there was a laboratory worker became infected with a bacterium and developed glanders while performing an autopsy on a pig. In 1932, there was a bee virus pathogen, and this individual actually died from a viral infection after being bitten by a monkey during the research. And the viral agent was later discovered to be the bee virus. There is, in 1943, there is the scrub typhus. And Dora Lush died after accidentally pricking her finger with a needle containing the lethal typhus while attempting to develop a vaccine. Thank you. 1960, the foot and mouth disease that was in Europe. Yep. It actually accidentally released at 13 times from European laboratories, including those producing these vaccines. And in 1966, and again, I'm giving you all the information that these viruses have escaped laboratories. So I want you to understand, 1966, smallpox in the United Kingdom. Smallpox. There was an outbreak in the United Kingdom, was an outbreak of a mild smallpox, which began with Tony McLennan. It's a photographer in the medieval school in medical school in Birmingham, which housed a smallpox laboratory, and where 12 students later, a fatal smallpox outbreak would occur. In 1966, there was the Marburg virus in Germany that was released from a lab. It was an outbreak initial among laboratory workers who were exposed to imported African green monkeys of their tissues while conducting research. Some became sick, some even died. Smallpox was released in the Soviet Union in 1971. Also, smallpox in 1972 was released again in the United Kingdom. In 1976, Ebola was accidentally released from a laboratory in the United Kingdom. So you're getting the idea here. The H1N1 influenza virus in 1977 and 1979, the Soviet Union and China. What had happened, the H1N1 influenza virus, it reappeared circulating in humans in 1977 in the Soviet Union and China. Some virologists, including some very famous ones, have suggested the cause of the reappearance was a laboratory escape. of a 1949-1950 virus. I can go on and on. Anthrax in the Soviet Union in 1979. So these viruses that we have that they're playing around while, I mean, this is, again, this is no joke. We have cowpox, H1N1, anthrax, smallpox, Ebola, Zika virus. It goes on and on and on. So there have been plenty of viruses that have been accidentally released from laboratories. So then the lack of effective quarantine and control measures can contribute to the rapid spread of infectious disease, including a hypothetical zombie outbreak. If containment efforts are not implemented properly, I mean immediately, then infected individuals can easily move within across borders, leading to a wider and faster dissemination of this condition. And in a zombie apocalypse scenario, so let's say that there has been some type of virus that's been released. Overwhelmed medical resources and infrastructure would exacerbate the spread of the zombifying condition. Insufficient medical facilities, shortage of trained personnel, and inadequate supplies could hinder the ability to control the outbreak. And obviously, if you have a zombie kind of like an outbreak, again, I want to make it very clear. I do not believe that the reanimation of corpses is going to occur. Nope, I don't agree. I don't believe in that type of zombie ideology. However, I do believe that viruses or bacteria, we need to be careful about that. So I won't. I won't say that. The psychological and societal impact of zombie-like epidemic should not be underestimated. So, because here's what would happen: panic, fear, breakdown of social order will obviously contribute to the rapid spread, and for a variety of reasons. It's crucial to note that the factors mentioned, as I mentioned, are based on hypothetical circumstances and assumptions. So, in the hypothetical scenario of a zombie apocalypse, human responses play a crucial role in determining the outcome of such an event. The ability to effectively detect, spread, and mitigate the threat will greatly influence the chances of survival. Now, we know that the government and military preparedness is going to happen. Now, let me just say something. First of all, I'm remind me about the rapture. After this presentation is over, remind me about the rapture. Someone just say at 8 p.m., talk about the rapture. I need to talk about that. How will the government and the military prepare? Well, one of the primary pillars of response to a zombie threat would be the government military preparedness. And that includes early detection protocols, emergency response plans, and the mobilization of resources that will have to contain the outbreak. The establishment of dedicated task forces and crisis management, that's going to be overwhelming. Well, the public health infrastructure, a well-functioning public health infrastructure is paramount to responding to a zombie-like epidemic. So the ability to quickly identify, diagnose, and isolate infected individuals is critical. So you have to have adequate medical facilities. Now, the society, how society responds to a zombie threat can significantly impact the overall outcome. Panic, fear, breakdown in social order can hinder this effectiveness. So here's the question then. How do we adapt? If something like this were to happen, how do we adapt? What are some survival strategies? Well, I talked to some people who truly believe. Okay, hold on. Let me block this moron who obviously has a zombie apocalypse. Okay, there we go. There's a mental, as the outbreak unfolds, individuals and communities will need to adapt and employ survival strategies. So these may include fortifying living spaces, securing food and water supplies, establishing communication networks. And again, I want to remind everybody, I'm going to say this again, and again. I do not believe in the reanimation of corpses. I've said that how many times now? So people who are sending me messages on Messenger, I don't know how many times I can tell you. I don't believe in the reanimation of corpses. But I do believe that bacteria, infections, viruses that have been leaked from labs, many, many viruses in the past, can certainly cause very serious issues. We have to learn from existing outbreaks and how we dealt with that. And we need the development of vaccines, and we need the use of drones and robotics could also be useful for various purposes, including like surveillance or delivery of supplies to infected zones. Could you imagine? Seriously, if you really think about this for a second, whether warfare, bio warfare. There's a lot of people who say, well, that's just ridiculous. I disagree. I completely 100% disagree. Chemical warfare is no joke. It is absolutely no joke. And I'm telling you, the biochemical weapons that countries have are quite terrible. And while I'm not trying to frighten, which this is the Paranormal Fridays, this is the topic for the night. Okay. Yeah, I'll get your questions at 8 p.m. So I want to talk about, before I continue, I want to talk about some real cases that are quite frightening, that some people say something happened there. Now, what it was, we don't know. But there actually have been cases, and this is by Christopher Schultz, where Christopher says, real zombie attacks that actually happened. He says the modern-day zombie was formalized in 1968 upon the release of George Romero's seminal Night of the Living Dead. The film featured all the typical characteristics of these supernatural ghouls, reanimated, mindless, and shuffling human corpses who eat the flesh and organs of the living. I'll talk about that, Sharon, at 8 o'clock. Now, while they are slow, they are vicious in their hunger, and when they amass into a horde, they will tear you to pieces, he says. Often a zombie apocalypse in films and literature signals the end of days. Since the time, we've seen numerous and other variations of the same basic zombie characteristics. But in fact, the concept of a zombie predates Romero's films, specifically in the concept of zombie in Haitian culture, which is effectively a person risen, quote unquote, from the dead and brainwashed into a mindless automation. While many insist these incidents are nothing but folklore, he says others insist such beings were successfully fashioned. Now, whether the Haitian zombies actually existed or not, there have been numerous cases, he says, of real zombies. Though such incidents do not exactly involve things that have come back to dead from the dead, nature has given us both zombie ants and zombie spiders. We'll talk about that in a second. And there have been several high-profile cases of people going berserk and feasting on the flesh of fellow humans for no reasons at all. So, Florida. Now, this is crazy. And again, these are cases that actually happened. A Florida college student stabs strangers and consumes their faces. See, Florida was already on the cannibalistic, possibly zombie-related attack map with the infamous Miami case. So we'll talk about it, but that was apparently not enough for the Sunshine State, he says. In August of 2016, a 19-year-old college student, look it up, Austin Haroff, reportedly stormed away from a restaurant in Jupiter, Florida, where he'd been dining with his parents, apparently upset over the slow service there. He then wandered into a neighborhood where a couple, Michelle Michon, nope, not obviously from the television show, the Walking Dead, and John Stevens III, sat in their garage with the door open, enjoying a quiet evening. Harif pulled a switchblade on the couple and stabbed them to death, apparently without any provocation. A neighbor attempted to intervene and called 911, but was stabbed by the man as well. Now, when police arrived, again, you need to be aware. So, I'm going to a public service announcement. I don't think kids should be listening to this because these are real stories that actually happened, and they're pretty gross. But that's the point of the story, of the presentation. So when police arrived, they found Harif completely naked, ripping away chunks of the couple's flesh and actually eating it. He was also growling, grunting, and making animal noises. Repeated use of stun guns and police dog could not sway Harif from him continuing his behavior. And finally, 3 officers had to pull the man away from the bodies by force. Now, what makes this case, and this is a true case, what makes this case especially strange is that Harif, prior to this bizarre crime, was a model student who seemed to have things pretty well figured out. It is reported that he had been hanging out with some of his fraternity brothers prior to joining his parents for dinner. But people are going to say, aha, that's it. I knew it. He had bath salts, or he had some illegal substance in his body. The story gets even more strange because there was a toxicology and the report came back completely clean. No illegal substance, no bath salts, nothing. Other test results for synthetic drugs, nothing. Though officials did say Harif showed no other characteristic symptoms associated with substance at all, like bath salts or any of this nature. So police are left baffled even to this day at Harif's behavior. What happened? We don't know. We have no idea. But we know that this actually occurred. That's terrifying. Another case, the infamous Miami cannibal attack. I remember this one. I remember this very clear. The story was big news back in, I can't bring you guys on. Sorry. Again, I can't bring you back onto the show. Sorry about that because I have the show on 3 different computers and they won't be able to see or hear you on these computers here. So the Miami cannibal attack. The story was big news back in 2012, especially given the eerie footage of the incident that made the rounds on the internet. Remember this? Miami resident Rudy Eugene stripped completely naked and attacked a homeless man named Ronald Popo, eating about 80% of the man's face. And when police arrived at the scene, they were forced to open fire on the belligerent Eugene. He took far more bullets than his body, obviously, should have been able to withstand when he finally passed away. People are immediately going to say, aha, it was the bath salt. I knew it. Well, it was originally theorized that Eugene had ingested bath salts or even PCP. But toxicology reports revealed and only trace amounts, just a small trace of marijuana was in his system, leaving the explanation for his zombie-like attack on Popo a complete mystery. And this individual who did this, Rudy Eugene, had never behaved like this before. Never. He was a good guy. Something happened. There's another. Listen to this. A 2-year-old sits up in a coffin, asks for water, and then dies again. Kevin Santos was pronounced dead at a hospital in the hometown in Belém in Brazil. Now, the 2-year-old was placed in an airtight body bag for 3 hours while his family made preparation for his funeral. So you're in an airtight body bag for 3 hours, folks. There's no oxygen. During the wake, family members noticed the boy moving. Santos then sat up, asked for his father for a glass of water. The ecstatic family was let down when only seconds later, the boy fell over and passed away again. And he was rushed to a hospital and declared dead a second time. Again, folks, look it up. There's a woman who returns from the grave in a catatonic state. And now this case was observed by researchers in Haiti sometime between 1996 or 1997. So it was around 30. This individual, Phi, was around 30 years old when she died after a short illness and was buried by her family the same day in the family tomb next to her house. Well, 3 years later, she was recognized by a friend wandering near the village. Her mother confirmed her identity by a facial mark, as did the 7-year-old daughter, her siblings, other villagers, her husband, a local priest. She appeared mute, unable to feed herself. Her parents accused her husband of zombifying her because he was allegedly jealous after she had an affair. And after a local court authorized the opening of her tomb, which was full of stones, her parents were undecided whether to take her home, and she was admitted to the psychiatric hospital in Port-au-Prince. It was later determined the woman likely suffered from a catatonic schizophrenia. However, just as she managed to emerge from her tomb, and how she did that and wander home, we can't explain that. There's an individual named Clairvius. It died in 1962 after admitting himself to the Albert Schweitzer Hospital, town in Haiti. He had been suffering from a plethora of ailments, but no direct cause for symptoms could be determined. 18 years later, in 1980, his sister saw this individual in a marketplace. He recounted the memories of his own death, including being buried alive. He had been placed into a death-like state by a boker, it's a sorcerer. And after being dug up, he was whisked away to a plantation to serve as a zombified laborer. He escaped after 2 years of slavery and wandered the Haitian countryside, only willing to return to his village when his brother, whom he believed to have made the deal with this sorcerer that turned this individual into a zombie, had actually passed away. That is insane. Now, this is true, and this breaks my heart. There is a drug right now, an illegal substance, and it's called crocodile. Now, if you have not seen that, guys, I'm telling you, this is terrible. This is terrible. And this is happening on the streets in America and all over the world. Well, here's what's happening with crocodile. And you can do your own research. Literally, you can actually go on YouTube and watch people on crocodile, and it is terrifying. It actually turns users into a zombie-like beings. No joke. Crocodile is a drug that rose to prominence in poor areas of Russia because of its potent opioid effects, combined with the affordable and easy methods in which it is produced. Now, there have been reports of the drug now cropping in the United States, which it certainly is now all over. If the potency of crocodile was not alarming enough, its side effects are the stuff that horror movies are made of. The drug gets its name from the gangrenous effect that it has on the user's skin. It literally eats tissue and flesh from the inside out. And this often leads to open sores and wounds on users' flesh that leaves their bones exposed. It can also lead to incoherence, jerking motions that make you think, that's kind of weird behavior, shuffling, or even the shambling steps. In other words, crocodile turns you into a zombie, technically alive, but in many ways also dead. Look that up if you haven't seen it. It is insane. We're going to talk about the other things. Let's talk about nature. And when you hear some of these cases that are actually real in nature, it's going to make you really think, okay, that's a problem. Yeah, I don't like that. Well, in nature, believe it or not, there are real cases of zombie behavior. This is by Scott Duffield, and it's in Live Science. So this is from a scientific magazine. Okay, so let's talk about it. Zombie movies have got it all wrong, the person says. The author says this, Scott says. Zombifying viruses are unlikely to give dead people the brain munchies, but real life parasites that can possibly be turned into chemical warfares or warfare weapons that could be transmitted from human to human have the power to take over brains and actually make real zombies. So here are 10 of the most shocking examples of bona fide zombieism in the animal world. This is creepy. Parasite put pill bugs. So these are the little pill bugs. These parasites actually place them in a deliberate danger. So roly-poly bugs, potato bugs, pill bugs, as some people call them. Some people say they're just cute little innocuous members of the insect world. They roll up and all that. As long that's true, they're completely innocent as long as they haven't been taken over by a particular parasite. And I'm not even going to try to even pronounce it. According to the University of Michigan's Animal Diversity Web, the parasite lives in the intestinal tracts of starlings, and then gets they have the starlings use the restroom and eaten by hungry pill bugs, which love bird waste. Okay, so once inside the body of this roly-poly little bugs, the parasite actually takes over its brain and urges the zombified bug to do ill-advised things, such as making its whereabouts widely known to predators like starlings. And thus the parasite completes its journey when a starling swoops in and eats the zombie pill bug, and the parasite waits for its chance to find another bug upon which to practice mind control. Now think about that. So the starling uses the restroom. The little pill bug says, "Oh, yeah, supper time." And then this parasite makes the starling, the parasite makes the bug behave oddly, and it controls the brain of the bug, and the bug goes right out in the opening where obviously the starling can say, "Oh, supper time." Here's another thing that turns, but this is crazy. Kidnapped cockroaches carry the larva of wasp. It's straight out of Hollywood. A quick stab to the brain turns an innocent onlooker into the victim of brutal assault and kidnapping. Except this time, the defenseless victim is one of the world's most hated insects, the cockroach. And the villain is a wasp. Okay, so in this true story, the venom of this emerald cockroach wasp renders the cockroach unable to move, though it is not paralyzed, according to research published in 2010 in Journal Plus One. Once the cockroach is immobilized, the wasp then implants its abdomen with a single egg and drags it into the wasp's lair. The larva later then hatches and eats the still living but zombie-like cockroach from the inside out. And a month later, the now mature wasp flies away from the scene of the crime, leaving only a rotting cockroach carcass behind. This is in nature, folks. Ant zombies. Yep, ant zombies give their bodies to a fatal fungi. So there is a again, I'm not going to say the word because I'll say it wrong. It's OPH, Ophi cord dicryps or something. Anyway, it's a pathogenic fungus that preys on a carpenter ants and snatches their body for their own gain. You see, this fungus infects the ants and then uses chemical signals to direct the hapless insect on a very strange path. You see, the zombified ant leaves its colony, which was very stupid because you would never do that, and begins to climb up a nearby tree, taking a jaw grip on the underside of a leaf where it stays. A 2019 study published in Journal in Behavioral Ecology suggests that the fungus targets the phototaxis pathways, which makes the infected zombie ants climb toward the light against its will, and the ant eventually dies as the fungus spreads around the ant's body. And the fungus produces a stalk from the dead zombie's head, from which spores are released, intended on infecting more ants in the colony. That exists. I spoke to an infectious disease professional. They didn't want to obviously go on the show. And what they told me was alarming. They said that something like that could be recreated in a lab and created as a parasite that could be transmitted from human to human. When they told me that, that was a problem. And this person has a PhD. Here, barnacles turn crabs into cribs for their babies. It's a story of crab meets a barnacle with a twist. So a female Succulina barnacle is also known as crab hacker barnacle, wants to nest inside a crab. So it looks around until it finds soft tissue on the crab's joint to burrow into, leaving its old barnacle behind. And once inside, the barnacle makes a nice little home that looks like a tumor, extending tendrils through the crab's body and slowly eats its host. After the Smithsonian Institution, the barnacle manipulates the crab to care for the barnacle like it would its own offspring, protecting it, grooming it, even though this offspring is eating it from inside. A parasite is now pushing wolves. I don't know why it keeps doing that. A parasite pushes wolves to make riskier decisions. Their parasite puppeteers are pulling wolves' strings in Yellowstone National Park, goading the canines into taking greater risk, according to the 2022 study published in the journal Communications Biology. You see, the parasite is a single-celled organism called Toxoplasma gondii, which only reproduces in cats. T. gondii causes a disease called toxoplasmosis that comes with a range of symptoms, including increased testosterone levels and behavioral changes. Now, researchers suspect that Yellowstone wolves are exposed to this T. gondii after eating, the waste or so of infected cougars. Once infected, the wolves are more likely to exhibit risky behaviors, such as abandoning their packs to form new ones or asserting themselves as pack leaders. So behaviors that likely require vicious fights can lead to death. The researchers propose that this behavior could influence the rest of the pack and increase the likelihood that uninfected individuals encounter infected cougars. You know, when you think about this and you see all these craziness, it isn't. There's so many. I mean, there's so many. We could easily do 2 hours of just a fungus turns cicadas into, sex crazed zombies. Parasitic worm kill fish at the surface. Parasites put mice in the mouths of the predators. Did you hear what I just said? Parasites put mice in the mouths of their predators. One of the best ways for a parasite to spread is to be eaten by its host's natural predator. So Toxoplasma gondii can change the behavior of its host. However, in some species, T. gondii will cause its zombie host to walk straight into a predator's mouth. In a 2013 study published in the journal PLOS 1 found that mice infected with T. gondii showed high levels of testosterone in their systems, making them less afraid of cats. And another study in PLOS One, it suggested that infected rats feel a type of attraction to the smell of cat urine, making them more likely to live near their feline foes. This is insane. This is crazy. Yeah, I'm telling you, check that out, guys. Parasite puts mice in the mouths of their predators. So there is so much that we could talk about when it comes to zombie and the zombie apocalypse. As I mentioned before, I don't believe that the reanimation of the dead will occur. But I absolutely believe that a bacteria or a parasite that, number one, could be natural, that could infect humans, or these viruses that they keep playing with in the labs could get released, because there's a whole history that we see of this virus being released, that virus being released. And if that continues, we could have some major problems, major problems. Yeah, I'm very sorry about that, Corey. Yeah, we'll certainly say some prayers for your friends. Yeah, it's a terrible thing. But again, some of these things, I think we keep playing God, and we keep doing this, and we're going to get in some serious trouble. Okay. Sorry, I'm just typing here. Okay. So let's go into some of your questions. If you have any questions related to this, I'm not trying to scare you. That's not the point. It is a zombie apocalypse presentation. Hello. But anyway. Okay. So see, and this is why I don't do. Someone says, "Why don't you do 2 hours of answering questions?" No, because I'm not going to sit here for 2 hours. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? See, I'm not going to do that. I have other things I can do. So I don't believe in doing that. So, okay. Let me just say this. Because this is important, and I want to say this. Folks, there is a lot of nonsense going on. A lot of nonsense going on all over the social media, saying that we are going to have the rapture this weekend. It's everywhere on social media. No, we are not. We are not. So I'm not, folks. It's stupid. People who say that it's going to happen, they guarantee it. We're going to have it this weekend. No, it is not. And I'm going to tell you something. Here's what's going to happen. When we show up on Monday, all these people that are going online saying, "Oh, that's it. This weekend, it's the rapture. This weekend is the rapture." Here's what they're going to say. They're going to say this. When Monday comes, and they're going to say, "Well, we just miscalculated." No, what you did is you purposely try to scare people so that you can get views on your video, so that you can get a paycheck. That's what you did. That's what they did. I'm telling you now. Bye. See you. You got to head up? Okay. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Because I taught Revelation verse by verse, line by line. I took 6 months and I taught Revelation. Starting January the 8th, you can go to my Facebook page and you can watch it. Sundays and Wednesdays. And things have to occur before the rapture, or whatever term you want to use, occurs. So I do not, absolutely 1,000,000%. We have not seen those things, and I'm not going to reteach it, because I can't teach it in 40 minutes, and I'm not going to try. So if you want to learn, then what you need to do is go to my Facebook page, go to January the 8th, every Sunday and Wednesday, and watch the videos. So all these people that's telling you that this weekend the rapture is going to happen, stop. Just stop. It's not going to happen this weekend. It's not. And if you disagree with me and you say, yes, it is, then here's the deal. Then on Monday or on Wednesday, when I come back for Bible study, I want you to apologize. I want every single person who's going all over social media, scaring the hell out of people, telling them that the rapture is going to happen. I want them to go on their social media and apologize for it. See, they're not going to do that. But what they will do is go on their social media and scare you to tell you that the rapture is going to happen. It is ridiculous. It's not going. There are, and I'm not teaching Revelation again. If you want to learn, you can go on January the 8th, go on my Facebook page. It's all there. It's all there. So there we go. I wanted to make sure I make that clear because it's all over. And it's absurd. It's absurd. It's absurd. So it's not, we're going to be here Monday. Now, should we be prepared? Sure, absolutely. Yes. But there are things, Revelation makes it very clear. And I do believe that the rapture is a prophetic book. That's my belief. And I have that right to believe that. But I don't believe that based on what Revelation teaches, if you believe it's prophecy, then based on prophecy and that interpretation of Revelation, then there are things that have to happen prior to the rapture. Or the church being taken up, or whatever term you want to call. Someone asked, is the serpent on the rainbow, that is it a nonfiction book? It is. It's a nonfiction book. The Serpent and the Rainbow is a nonfiction book written by anthropologist Wade Davis. If you want to check that out, it recounts his experience in Haiti, studying the practices of voodoo, investigating the mysterious phenomenon of what the term zombification. Now, the book, by the way, was based on Davis's real-life research and the events he encountered during the time in Haiti. So, but yes, it's based on his experience with people practicing voodoo. Mm-hmm. And I accept that. There are, and I also taught that in Revelation. I taught that. I taught that there were different interpretation of Revelation. So again, I've taught all that. I taught all of that, and I taught it twice. And so people say, "Well, teach it again." No, it's all there. January the 8th. Oh, well, that's wonderful, Stephanie. John, you says, I've given up on finding God. I've spent years trying to be saved and only have been ignored. Hey, John, listen, let me tell you something, sunshine. God is not the one who's lost. Think about that. You spent years trying to find God. God isn't the one who's lost. If you want to know God, and if you want to find God, then here's what you need to do. Help other people. Go to a homeless kitchen. Serve food. Help others. And you will find God. God is not lost. God is in one act of kindness. One act of kindness, one at a time. That's where you're going to find God. I do believe in the term rapture. I know I'm very aware. I'm very aware that it is a Protestant term. Very aware of it. However, potato. I believe that there will be a time where the church age will end, and that we will be taken up. And really, that's the root word for rapture. And so I believe in whatever term you want to call it, I believe that will happen prior to the second coming, yes. Well, if you feel dark, John, then perhaps maybe, John, if you feel dark, then my advice to you if you feel depressed, if you feel dark, you need to speak to a therapist. You need to do that. Do that for yourself. You should. I mean, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling depressed, you need to speak to somebody, and you should, because you deserve that peace of mind. And that's I absolutely believe that you. I always look at the logical first. Always look at the logical. And if you're feeling down, if you're feeling depressed, speak to somebody. There are so many organizations out there that there are so many phone lines out there that you can call for absolutely free, and they'll help you. I don't know why this keeps doing this. This is driving me crazy. I'm going to end this on you now, because the stupid thing over here keeps distracting me. Okay. So that's what I would say. So I'm always paranoid. It's always, oh, sure. Yeah. Look, depression is something that's serious, but I also think that there's so much help out there for people who do suffer from depression. And you can get help. There's hotlines out there. I mean, there really is. There's plenty of people. And, yeah, I mean, there's, well, folks, okay, 1-866-903-3787. So, I mean, there's people, you can just type in depression hotline, crisis text hotline. There's all kinds of numbers. Yeah, there's plenty. 866-903-3787. And if you miss it, you can go back to my Facebook. You can go to my YouTube. You can watch it again. 866-903-3787. There's a lot. There's a lot out there. There's a lot out there. And there's also a national depression hotline. There's a national depression hotline. That's 866. Write it down. 866-629-4564. So area code 866-629-4564. So, yeah, that's there's a lot of people, but there's plenty of help. Plenty of help. You just have to accept it. You just have to take it. So, okay. Let's go. What other questions you guys have? Because this is, like I said, this is why I don't do questions for 2 hours, because normally I'm always asking any other questions. That kind of gets a little old. By the way, there is for those of you who don't know, there's a really cool article. Yeah. By Ben Hooper. Ben Hooper. Okay, Corey, I can talk to you. This is Paranormal Fridays. I can talk to you privately, but it seems like you need some assistance that I can't offer you right now. So I gave you 2 numbers for you to call, and I think you need to call them, because it would be inappropriate for me to have a conversation with you about private issues that you're struggling with on a national platform talking about the paranormal. That would be inappropriate. So you can send me send me a message on Facebook. I just don't think I'm not, you may not be shy, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. So send me a message on Facebook, and I'll do it privately. But I'm not a mental health therapist. So that's why I gave 2 numbers out for people, because they are therapists and they will help. But you have to reach out to them. You have to reach out. So I'm not a licensed mental health therapist. So it's appropriate for me to say you need to reach out to the numbers that I gave you. And anybody else, anybody who's struggling, you need to. Okay, listen to this, everybody. Yeah, well, hell exists outside of time and space, and hell is the complete absence of God, which in that case would be pretty terrible. Police in an Illinois town are trying to identify a mysterious white or translucent object seen flying in the daytime sky. Now, Provincetown Police Chief Bruce Franks said he was off duty Wednesday when he received a call from an employee at Todd's Tire and Auto, where a crowd had gathered to watch a mysterious object in the sky. Witnesses described the object as a white or translucent balloon attached to a box structure, and what some onlookers said appeared to be red lighting. Now, Franks said the object was stationary in the sky for some time. And Officer Boyd Van Dellen said police are still trying to identify the object, but they do not believe it originated from space or China. Now, the National Weather Service said it had not launched any balloons in the area recently. So Van Dellen said the organization suggested it might be a research balloon launched by another research or entity. Now, he said the local airport was notified of the object in case it posed a hazardous for local air traffic. A number of teardrop-shaped balloons previously sparked speculation of foreign surveillance or UFO activity over Phoenix in early April, but the objects were later identified as thunderhead weather balloons. So that's interesting. That's happening, but it is interesting also that NASA. Well, I don't see the thing with. I don't see the. I love science. I like space. I like. I use logic. I don't see there's a conflict between science and space, or not science, but science and religion. So I just don't. Oh, you're welcome, Corey. But yeah, send me a message on privately on Facebook. Make sure you go to my right Facebook page, okay? And we can kind of go from there. Make sure it's the right one because I have a couple Facebook pages. Okay, but that's kind of crazy. And NASA, by the way, NASA has said that their UFO or UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon, that they're getting, that they don't believe that right now anything that they have seen is based on space or outer space. That's the latest thing that they've said. So, listen to this. This is by Owen Jarvis. And folks, this actually happened. I can't believe this happened. But it did. Quote, so scientists blast claims of 2 alien bodies that a journalist actually presented to Mexico's Congress. Folks, you can look at this, you can Google this, it's kind of crazy. In a now viral story, alien bodies were unveiled before Mexico's Congress on Tuesday, September the 12th. But is there any real science behind this bizarre event? Not by a long shot, according to scholars who denounced the claim and affirmed that the bodies are not aliens. Well, Mexico's Congress was actually holding a hearing on unidentified aerial phenomena, otherwise known as UAP, a term that's now used to describe UFOs. UAPs have also been in the subject of congressional hearings in the United States over the past 2 years. Well, listen to this. During the presentation, a team that included Mexican journalist Jaime Musan and military medical doctor Jose de Jesus Zalce Benitez presented 2 bodies. So there's a medical doctor, a military medical doctor, actually presented this to the Mexican Congress, which appeared to be no more than 3.3 feet tall and appear skinny with grayish skin and large head in a coffin-like boxes before Mexico's Congress. They claim, now this is a medical doctor, they claim that DNA tests reveal that the remains of these 3-fingered beings are not human and that their abdomens actually hold eggs that may be used in reproduction. The duo also said the bodies came from Peru, and radiocarbon dating shows they date back 1,000 years, according to the National Public reported. Well, anyway, the same bodies made headlines in 2017, 2018. Musan told Live Science in an email. At that time, scholars denounced those bodies as consisting of manipulated human body parts. So Musan told Live Science that since that time, more tests have shown that the bodies are not human He also stressed that he is not saying these bodies are necessarily alien, just that they're not human. So it says, we never said they're extraterrestrial, Masson said, adding that they had found evidence for implants made of the elements osmium and cadmium inside the bodies, a technology unknown 1,000 years ago. So live science was unable to reach these people and to ask them about it. But can you imagine a military medical doctor unveiled these two alien bodies in which they say were not human? So it says here, let me tell you that all this is complete nonsense. Rafael Parra, a research reinforcement director at the Metropolitan Autonomous University in Mexico City, told Live Science in an email that our Congress gives a forum to this self-proclaimed ufologists is a reflection of the anti-scientific mood that prevails in our country today. Now, there were reports in some media outlets that the tests of the bodies were performed at UAD, at this university. But Parra said no DNA tests were performed at the university. And while a carbon-14 test was conducted in 2017, a commercial agreement prevents the university from disclosing the results. Well, come on. Whatever. Release them. Anyway, they say it's not human. It's blah, 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 blah. But I don't know. You take a look at them, guys. If you have not seen them, take a look at them. And they are absolutely, remember, this is in Mexico. But an actual medical doctor from the military said that they have eggs inside of them. Well, it's not HIPAA because this is in Mexico. The Gates of Hell Cemetery. I'm actually going to do a presentation on that when the weather gets cooler. The weather's finally cooling down a little bit, so I think definitely in October I'm going to be making a YouTube kind of a presentation on the Gates of Hell Cemetery. The Gates of Hell, Shane, you're too far from the Gates of Hell. I'd have to go all the way where you are and then come all the way back and then drop you all the way back and then come back. I can't. The Gates of Hell Cemetery is not a good place. It is not a good place. And anybody who goes there is asking for trouble. And I say this, and I told people this over and over and over and over, and people still go to this, and then they don't listen. And then they go to that location, and then they have problems, and then they want me to fix their issues. Nope. Okay. So, yeah, it's one of those things. The Gates of Hell Cemetery, for those of you who don't know, I'm the one that came up with the name in 2003. No one even knew the Gates of Hell Cemetery in Kentucky even existed because it wasn't known as the Gates of Hell. It's an old abandoned cemetery that families asked me to go and do a blessing because people went there and do some stupid stuff. And they didn't like the fact that people were disrespecting this old abandoned cemetery where their loved ones are buried. So it's no longer being used, except for people go there and do stupid things. And we caught some crazy activity. And as I went on the radio, I said, this is like the Gates of Hell. And that is how it got its name, the Gates of Hell Cemetery. Nobody in the paranormal community knew that the Gates of Hell even existed, and even nobody in the even in Kentucky, except for that area, because it's an old abandoned cemetery. It's off the beaten path. You would have to know it's there. And I went on National Geographic. I went on Discovery Channel. I talked about the Gates of Hell Cemetery and how it got its name. And I'm telling you, it's just not a good place. So I will go to. I'm going to plan on going there to do a kind of a video series on it and to show you some of the things and my experiences and where these things occurred. But I just hope people don't think, oh, good, let's go to the Gates of Hell Cemetery on a Friday night, because when they do, and then when terrible things happen, they want me to fix it. So no, I won't do that. So yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, and let me say this again. On TikTok, I'm not going to send you a message on TikTok. You're not going to get a message from me. And not because I'm rude, because I have 14,000 messages. I can't get to them. Now, occasionally, if you send me a message and if I'm able to respond quickly, I will. But chances are I won't. I'm sorry. I just don't have time. I have 12,000 email messages and 14,000 messages on TikTok. I can't keep up. So I'm not going to send you a message. And what these frauds are doing, these scammers are doing, and I've already reported them a million times. I've even penned videos on my TikTok channel. There's nothing else I can do. But what scammers are doing is creating fake accounts using like Bishop James Long and my name, and then asking, and they're going through all the people who follow me, and they're contacting them asking for money. And then people send them money, and then they get mad at me. I didn't do it. This is not a Bishop James Long problem. This is your problem. This is TikTok needs to delete them. I can't control that. So, I've said it quite a few times. I've said this. So, there's nothing I can do about it. I penned comments on my channel. I made it very clear what profiles I have. There's nothing else I can do. So, okay. So, all right. What other questions you guys have regarding the paranormal? Well, thank you there, Julia. Yeah, do your research. That's right. No, I don't want to hear Maria. No, so Maria says in a dream I heard the devil. He gave me a message. Can I share it with you? No, I don't want to hear anything the devil has to say. The devil's a liar. He's a father of lies. So there's nothing that the devil needs to say. The devil needs to keep his mouth shut because he's already been condemned. So the devil has nothing to say to me that I don't already know. What's the most terrifying demonic growls you've ever heard? Definitely in the gates of hell. Yep, definitely in the gates of hell. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Because the gates of hell cemetery, it is just one of those crazy locations that you wouldn't think when you go to the gates of hell cemetery. It's not a big cemetery. It's not big, but when you go there, it is a different place. It is a different place between the daytime and the nighttime. It really is like the Silent Hill. The Silent Hill, the movie. During the day, it's one time, and then during the night, it completely changes. It's just like that. It is identical. And not only that, but when you get off the main road, it's a couple miles back, and it's a windy road, and you already feel it's overwhelming. You feel the oppression. You feel the oppression just as you're going there. And see, the thing, I kind of wish I never talked about it, because if I had never talked about it, then it would have never been known. Because 20 years ago, nobody was talking about this cemetery in the paranormal community. Nobody even knew it existed. And I'm in Kentucky, and my team was contacted by families, and I went online and talked about it. And I had a radio show back then. I talked about it, and now people go there, and I keep telling them, stay away from it. Stay away. There's nothing good there. Yeah, I'm going. Yeah, I am going to go, but I'm going to go there during the day. I'm not going to go there during the night. So, Bishop Gray, I don't understand people. Some people are just bound and determined. But I know I'm not going to go there at night. There's no reason for me to go there at night. Going there at night is really asking for trouble. Guys, I'm telling you, the Gates of Hell Cemetery, I've said this before, makes Bobby Mackey's Walt Disney World. Bobby Mackey's has nothing on the Gates of Hell Cemetery. Nothing at all. It is a different location. It's a different world. There are very few places that I've been to where I can say that when you go there at night, you know you are not alone. You don't need to be a psychic. You don't need to be an empath. You don't need to be a medium. You don't need any of that stuff. You know that you're not alone. So, well, yeah. Thank you, Judy. I'm excited about it. I do believe that our loved ones can send us physical signs. Yeah. Yeah, I can play it for people. But here's the problem. I did that the other day, and I played the growl that from the gates of hell, and then I went on TikTok, and here's what happened. Someone actually recorded it, and they downloaded the video, and then they took out my talk, my speaking, and just had the growl, and now they're using that, saying that they actually captured that in one of their evidence. See, this is what I'm talking. It's just really disturbing things like that. It's like, why? So that's what they're doing now. So regrettably, that's people can do that. And so I was going through TikTok, and someone said there was a paranormal team saying that they went to this location and that they got a growl, and here it is. I'm like, really? Seriously? And that was the one that I played from the Gates of Hell Cemetery. It's just disturbing. I just, Oh, I've never been to Canada, but I certainly would love to go to Canada. That would be a pretty cool place to go. But I've already played it, so I might as well play it again, because I'm sure people are going to, and it's inevitable. Inevitable. Let me turn this air conditioner off so you guys can hear it. Okay. Hang tight, because I hadn't planned on it, but that's okay. That's okay. Okay, here it is. So this is from the Gates of Hell Cemetery, and this is during an investigation. And I knew we weren't alone. I mean, it was so heavy. That night, I will never forget that night for as long as I live. Okay. I thought it would work. Hold on. Oh, there he is.
Is there anyone here?
So this is from the Gates of Hell Cemetery. That way no one can take it.
Are you friendly?
So there we go. And of course I'm playing this on, on, you're hearing it, from a speaker, but it's intense. It is intense. Well, hello there. I appreciate you being here, Scott. That is one place that, if you go there, you're just asking for trouble. If you're able to get Travis Walton on the show, James, we're trying to. I haven't. I don't know if Mr. Producer is behind the scenes right now, because he's probably working on some things. But I would love. I would love to have him. I don't think we've heard anything yet. So actually, what I recorded it on this right here. That's what I used. These are amazing. These are really, really amazing as far as the, because you can record it on the four different four ways, or four speaker, or four microphones. But anyway, this is really, really amazing. So that's what I recorded it on. Okay, so Mr. Producer says I'm trying. He was not feeling well, and also doing some conferences. So there we go. So Mr. Producer is going to try to get Travis Walton on. No, Christina, I couldn't audibly. If you can hear a voice or a growl, that's called a disembodied voice. And I couldn't. No, we didn't hear anything, but we knew something wasn't right. We knew something was terribly, terribly wrong. And at that time, that was a crazy. I tell you what, that's actually going to be a place. Also, I'm going to talk about that image that we saw, that creature that we saw. I'll show where that was. I'll show where we saw hundreds of shadow people in the series. I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you the tree that was used for sacrifices. And it's terrible. What the people do back there should be shameful. Yeah, it's not a good place. The Gates of Hell has nothing good. So, well, a demon is a fallen angel, but they're referred as a ghost, as a human spirit, or person, individual who has intellect. So That's the theological paranormal definition. Oh yeah, you can. Yes, Sandy. Is it true that you can bring an evil spirit home from a thrift shop attached to an object? There you go. Right here. This thing right here, Sandy. Um, I have a collection. I have a storage facility full of haunted items, people who have purchased them, and then they brought them home, and then violent activity began as soon as they brought it home. And that, like I said, this doll was on the show Legion of Exorcist show on the Travel Channel that we did. That Eli Roth presents Legion of Exorcist, and that actually, I mean, I still. This was a 3-story house. This was in Tennessee. This was a 3-story home that burnt to a crisp. There was nothing left. Now in the show, there were a few things standing in the actual. There was nothing there. Nothing. The only thing standing was that ornate bookshelf that had been charred by the flames, and this. That's it. Well, um, there you go. Yeah, I'm not taking it out. That's not going to happen. Well, here's what happened. So the mother liked to collect eclectic items. She liked weird things, oddities, and she just loved it. And she and her husband went to a place, an antique store, and she had done some things that she shouldn't have done when in her younger years in life. She had played with black magic and done some voodoo and done some Ouija boards and things of this nature, and nothing ever happened. But when they went to this one particular store, she became all obsessed with this item, with the doll. And there were all kinds of items there. But for some reason she said she zoned everybody out. It was almost like in a trance. She couldn't hear her husband. She was so focused on that thing, she couldn't even think, talk, or she just that became an obsession. So she said she would have paid anything for it. It doesn't matter. She would have done anything. So she brought it home. As soon as she brought it home, activity began in that house. And it was violent. And because they never had issues before. Never. And see, remember, when you give a demonic entity invitation, then the demonic entity could easily take that invitation 15 or 20 years later from now. They may not take that invitation right now. But they're going to do it, and they're going to use everything that they can to entice you to, and then that's the only thing that I can think, that as soon as they brought that home, they had activity. And not only that, but I still can't explain a 3-story house burning down to a crisp, and this is the only thing that remained, that and the bookshelf. And I still can't explain the fact that I put that next to my laptop at Louisville Mid-South Paranormal Conference in front of everybody, and I didn't put it back in its container. And as soon as I put it down and turned around, the laptop caught fire. And this was a brand new laptop. So I can't explain it. I can't. It's just one of those things. Well, thank you there, G. Yeah, as far as Marian apparitions are quite interesting. There's a lot of Marian apparitions that is believed to be true. There are some that are questionable, and so I try to be very careful and cautious about attacking a particular culture or community that believes that they've had this apparition. Because I always have to be respectful of people's faith, and so what we may deem as heretical or inconclusive, we have to be very careful and cautious. So I'm always very cautious about that. But I do believe that there have been Marian apparitions that are absolutely convinced. No doubt, I believe that's true. Some of them are absolutely true. But I also think that I've read some that I'm like, So, but I try to be respectful anyway. Sure, Sandy, that can absolutely occur. Absolutely. And by the way, so I was talking about this earlier. Yeah, haunted objects are something that people are really going crazy about, and they keep doing this over and over. And I don't know why. I don't know why they have this desire to bring these items home. So listen to this. This is a great segue into this article. Uh, this is by Brent Swanser. And I wanted to present this to you. It says here, there can be no doubt that paintings can have a powerful influence over us. They're truly remarkable things. And when an artist puts a brush to canvas, they are in a sense channeling their soul and imagination into the images that we see. And those images can have a potent emotional impact on us. We can be moved to tears, reduced to a depressed wreck, be given inspiration, uplifted, or disgusted, and experience the whole spectrum of emotion by merely looking at a paint on a canvas. However, can paintings have other influences over us in our world as well? Are there times when rather than channeling the artist, they are channeling inscrutable powers beyond our understanding as well, the author says? Are they sometimes more than mere paintings, saturated with the unknown rather than just paint? While paintings can certainly have a powerful effect on us, it seems that in some cases they can have an effect beyond merely the emotions, reaching out to have an effect on our reality as well, or to be home to inscrutable, mysterious powers. Now, there have been been haunted or cursed paintings that seem to go far beyond mere works of art and have become something else. So perhaps one of the creepiest and notorious supposedly cursed painting is that one that was painted by one of America's most notorious serial killer, John Wayne Gacy. Is perhaps one of the most infamous monsters to ever walk on the earth, who raped, tortured, and murdered at least 33 young men and boys in Norwood Park Township near Chicago during the 1970s. He's well known for having had a side gig dressing as a clown called Pogo the Clown at charity events, often visiting ill children at nearby children's hospital. And indeed, he would be known as the killer clown in the media due to this. So here's what many people don't know. While he was on death row in prison, Gacy took up the hobby of painting for better or for worse and produced multiple works from behind bars. All of them seem to have had an unsettling effect on people who saw them. But one in particular was known for not only being disturbing, but also straight up haunted and cursed. The painting of Pogo the Clown is already nightmare fuel, even without talk of the paranormal. It is simply a self portrait of him as Pogo the Clown. And besides the fact that it is a painting of, well, a clown, it has been linked to numerous accounts of death and misfortune. Notably, the singer Nikki Stone purchased the painting in 2000 and immediately experienced a string of woes. His dog died, his mother was diagnosed with cancer, and he experienced a series of freak accidents. Frightened, he arranged for it to be stored at the home of a friend who shortly after died in a car accident. And after then, it passed on to another friend who went insane, tried to kill himself. Coincidence or something more? Well, there was a family who collected these items, and John Wayne Gacy, he had several of these paintings, quite a few actually. And the reason is he did that is because he was raising money for his defense, because his defense was quite expensive. So he would paint and people would buy them, and he would charge a lot of money for them. So a family decided to purchase some of these paintings. They brought it home and they had violent activity occur. They no longer wanted this painting. They wanted it gone. As soon as they brought it into their home, they hear loud bangings, the smell of sulfur and rotten flesh. Their animals were terrified. They wanted help immediately. And the only thing that would change was they brought in a John Wayne Gacy painting. And they said, we don't want it. Get rid of it. What do we do? Well, I told them, send it to me. This is an original John Wayne Gacy painting. This is Pogo the Clown. And here, oftentimes, he would poke a little needle and put his blood right here. It is signed. And yep, you can see here. So this is an original painting, and of Pogo the Clown. So that's what it looked like. Yeah, he painted himself. And the family, as soon as they brought it, that right here, this says, "I'm Pogo the Clown." Right there, "I'm Pogo the Clown." Yeah, I'll tell you. So first of all, I didn't buy this. I wouldn't buy it. But people ask me all the time, "Well, why do you get these things?" Well, because you don't destroy them, you don't burn them. You bless them and you give them to an exorcist. You give them to clergy who will properly remove them from your home. And I teach about this. This is one of the ministries that I do. So if people have these objects in their home, and then they have just like this thing, and then they have violent activity, well, I tell them, send them to me. And then I go to paranormal conferences and I show them, this is what it is. This is what it looks like. And this is what happened. Because this is a part of my ministry, is to teach. So when they see this and they actually get in their presence of, they don't even want to touch it. Just like this thing, they don't even want to touch they don't even want to be by the doll. And because I can talk about it and I can discuss it, but unless you see it, and unless you're actually in the presence of it, you'll understand you don't want anything to do with it. That is why because some people are visual learners. Some people learn by touching, some people learn by seeing, some people by hearing. We all learn differently. So now you actually have an object that I've talked about, such as the doll, or in this case, the John Wayne Gacy painting. And when you see it up front, and you actually, when I go to paranormal conferences, I bring some of these items. So here it is. And then people can feel like, oh, no, I don't want that. I don't want that. So these things are they're in my, as soon as I'm done here, they're going into back into the storage facility. So, but I have to show them so that you can understand it. The same thing for this. The same family bought this. It's in a protective covering, and I won't ever take it out. And of course, it is also signed John Wayne Gacy. And this is an actual drawing. This is one of the drawings that he did. He did this, and he also did a cabin. If I do this, I don't know if I'll mess it up. And there is a family who bought one of Dahmer's glasses. Dahmer sold some of his glasses to an old pair of his frames while he was in prison for his defense. And so some family purchased it. And as soon as they purchased this stupid thing, then activity occurs. And so I actually have that. I can get it, but I have to unplug this. So hold on. I'll have to unplug it. 1 second. Because I'm unplugging that. 1 second. Okay. Let me just put this here. Yeah, I know that was loud. Okay. So here are Dahmer's, and I'll be taking this. These are Dahmer's old frames that this family had purchased. And it doesn't have the actual thing in here. So they purchased that. And he sent a little note to the people who purchased it. Enjoy my glasses. Respectfully yours, Jeff. So that's yeah. I when you hold them, it doesn't feel good. It it feels yucky, And then by the way, someone sent me this. Someone sent me this. Well, actually, okay. Thank you, there, Mr. Producer. Actually, someone said, didn't he turn before Christ? Well, hold on. The chaplain actually said that allegedly about he was talking about communion, and and it was explained to him by the Catholic chaplain there that we actually believe it's the true presence, the divinity of Christ, the humanity and divinity. And when the chaplain said, and Jesus said, "Eat my flesh and drink my blood," and then Dahmer, his response to that to the chaplain was, "Well, I can get behind that religion." And someone sent me this, and then we're going to be closing up on Facebook. There we go, folks. You've seen it. Now, this is not an official toy by Mattel, so we have to say that. But this is now out there. It is a Barbie Ouija. There we go. And here's the little heart planchet right there. Okay, I'm going to stay on TikTok afterwards, but I have to run because we are now, gosh, we're out of time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, regrettably. So for those of you on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and of course on Spreaker, I'm going to say goodnight to you guys. But for those of you on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, I always tell you that your value does not decrease based on someone's inability or refusal to see your worth. Remember, you're priceless, and don't let anybody tell you or convince you otherwise. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, KGRADB Radio, good night. The Sacred Division has been brought to you by Bishop Long's online paranormal course. Learn demonology, angelology, paranormal studies, and genealogy. It's 100% online, and you learn at your own pace. Please go to www.bishopjameslong.com and click on the paranormal course link.